Welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week we will discuss tools, tips, and ways to radiate your best life ever, interviewing practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate? Hi, and welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I am your host, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Today we radiate creativity with Susan Walter, artist extraordinaire. Hi, Susan.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy that you could come in. I've been wanting to get you in here for quite a while because we've known each other a number of years.
Yes.
A number of years. I know your art and your work very well. So I'm glad it finally worked out.
Yeah, me too.
So Susan does angel portraits. They are really beautiful. If you've never seen Susan's work, although you've been on the cover of Evolving magazine.
Yeah, a few times.
A few times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I will be again later this year.
Oh, you will?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic. Do you know what month?
I'm thinking it's August. Or is it August? I have it on my calendar to make sure I have
For September.
Maybe it could be either August or September.
Well, later this year.
Yes.
Later this year. So if you're in Kansas City, in the Kansas City area, you can pick up Evolving magazine at all the local libraries, many coffee shops and healing places. If you're not in Kansas City, which many of our listeners are not, you can see it online at evolvingmagazine.com, I do believe.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. So, Susan, you make these beautiful portraits. Can you tell us a bit about that process? It's like these are really beautifully colored. They're totally individualized for people.
Mm-hmm.
Like how do you get started with something like that?
It's been a process. It actually started for me at a very young age, where I had near-death experiences during life-saving surgeries, both at 4 and then again at 6.
Oh, wow.
And during those experiences, I was introduced to some of my own angels.
Wow.
After, and then that allowed me to be able to see them then all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Try and explain that, though, when you're that age. The words just, at that age, the words just aren't there to explain that to your experience to your parents.
Right.
And things like, the term near-death experience didn't even exist for another decade at least.
Oh, really? Wow.
And I sure wouldn't have heard it in a rural Iowa anyway.
No.
But anyway, and then again in 1997, I noticed I wasn't seeing just my own. I was seeing everyone else's as well.
Wow.
And of course, the first thing I did is like, what's going on? What's changed? What am I supposed to do with this?
Right.
They were very adamant that I was supposed to start drawing angel portraits for people. And I spent, to be honest, the first few months arguing. It just, it's human nature. And I was somewhat busy. I had, a 4 and 5-year-old son and daughter at the time, as well as 2 teenage sons.
Oh my God.
And just one other minor detail. I really didn't know how to draw.
Oh, really?
No, so this has been a process of not just me learning how to do this, it's me learning how to draw.
So
and what medium work, worked best.
Right.
I started with pastels and paper that was probably a little larger than I should have.
Right.
After a while, I wasn't getting the detail I wanted. Smudging with pastels, things like that. So I switched to colored pencil and the standard 9x12 sheet of paper that I use now, which is a standard size at the art store. And no, it's not a standard size for framing, but it is a standard at the art. And angels like to do things by 3s. So having 9x12 that's divisible by 3 is very comfortable for them as well. So that's another reason why I use that size of paper.
Oh, who would have thought of that? But it totally makes sense. Oh, that is fascinating. So you don't know of anything that happened in 97 when you could see other people's angels?
I have a theory, and I found this out. It was several months after the date that I noticed I was seeing everybody's. I'm not 100% sure it's related. But I do know at that time, it was when Hale-Bopp was in our solar system, and there was a few days or time period what actually went behind the sun. But there are a lot of, and I don't even remember where I read this now, but where they've talked about some sort of magnetic pulse was put off by Hale-Bopp, directed into our sun, and directed straight at Earth. If that had anything to do with it, I do not know.
Wow.
But I know it was that same day.
Well, so when you first started seeing your own angels at such a young age, did it scare you?
No, because, during that experience was just so comforting and so joyful.
Yeah.
That, and then just seeing that relate into every day just felt completely natural.
Mm-hmm. What did they do when you first saw them?
The best way, one of them actually, I would say bended knee and embraced me.
Oh my gosh.
The other three just stood there, kind of in the background at first, where that one did most of the talking, particularly during my first experience.
And what did it say?
Mostly it was, just specific words. To be honest, don't remember. It was just very, just very comforting.
Right. You'll be okay.
Very welcoming.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Did you know what was going on at first?
No, not really, but it didn't feel unnatural in any way.
Sure. And so young. I mean...
and at that age, I was extremely naive.
Right.
And very, overprotective parents.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they must have been beside themselves when you were so sick.
It was, pretty traumatic, that part.
Yeah.
I think that, for me, actually, the scariest moments was when I first woke up and coming back. That was actually scarier for me the first time, not so much the second time, because then it was kind of like a part of the progression of the experience then. So
did you see them then while you were out for the surgery?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was with them during the entire surgery.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And actually, neither experience do I remember. I remember the pain and what happened, why I ended up in the hospital, and having to have the surgeries, but I don't remember getting to the hospital. Anything after that. I was gone, and I was with the angels at that point.
Wow. I mean, that story could have ended so differently.
Easily. Yeah.
Where you stay with the angels.
Uh-huh.
Wow. And then after you came out of anesthesia, were you able to see them?
Yes.
Around you? Okay. So it kind of lifted that veil.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They are very, very transparent. I do draw them much more intensely than I see them. Yeah, it's kind of like seeing just like that little ray of sunshine between the clouds.
Yeah.
Just add a shape and color to that.
I noticed that your angel portraits don't look like the Hallmark type of angel.
No.
No.
What I've been told, because I've asked, why don't I see faces? Why don't I see these details? I've been told because I see them in more their pure light form.
Oh, and looking at your portraits, yes, they look like light beings. Mm-hmm. Yes, and there's just so many questions I have for you right now, Susan. I just love your story. So, how did you? Okay, I'm just kind of beside myself here. So, did you have the words to talk to your parents about this?
Not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Did you tell them?
I tried to. Tried to. It didn't go off well. After a while, it was quit telling those stories.
Oh, wow.
So I just, about the age probably around 7.
Yeah.
I just quit talking about it.
But you saw them like on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, almost constantly.
Right.
It was easier to see them for some reason when I was a kid when I was outside. But that's where I probably spent 75% of my time.
Right.
As soon as I got home from school, I was outside. Summertime, the minute I got up to the minute it was time to go to bed, I was outside.
Right. Right. I wonder if you enjoyed being outdoors. Well, not only because it's beautiful and fun, but maybe because you can meet your friends there.
Yeah.
The angels.
Yeah, and I was one of those kids, I was notorious if there was any type of nest of animals, whether it was baby mice or rabbits or, whatever,
Right.
big birds, I found them. And that's usually what I was doing, that or I'd be down at the creek with a book and my radio,
Yeah.
listening to music and reading a book.
That sounds pretty idyllic to me, honestly.
Yeah, okay, not that I didn't have chores like all the kids do, but that's the big part of my childhood I remember.
Oh my gosh. And you grew up where again?
On a small farm in central Iowa.
In the middle of Iowa. Seeing angels.
Yeah.
Outside. Oh my gosh. And so, your parents, I think, reacted like a lot of parents would.
Yeah.
It's like, stop talking about it. You don't see it. Or it frightens us, or you're imagining, or, whatever. And for a lot of kids, that can cause them to shut down that intuitive ability, but not you.
No, I just, that was mine.
Yeah. So you saw it as private rather than something I shouldn't do.
Right.
Well, I'm glad that you had that foresight because, kids can learn to shut that down.
Right.
And
a lot of kids do.
And they do.
Yeah, we're all born with wonderful gifts. And it's just, not only being allowed to use them, but then even later in life, just to simply trust them.
Exactly. And if we don't learn that early on, it takes a long time to learn it later.
Yes. There is so much more to this beautiful world that we live in than what we see with our 3D eyes.
Amen. There it is. And it's in addition to seeing these things, we can feel their presence, and we can feel it in our bodies, emotions from other people. We can hear as well. So
I know one of the things that I say more and more to the people that I do angel portraits for is not only to keep it someplace that you can see it every day, but to whenever you're especially having a bad day, to go stand in front of it and simply say, I'm not alone, and watch and see and feel how the energy changes.
Yes, isn't that amazing? Wow, so you still see your angels with you every day.
Yeah, and they help me do so many things, not only the angel portraits, but the other artwork that I continue to create as well.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about that in a minute. Now, I want to know if your angels have changed over the years.
I would say more as I've shown my dedication to the work.
Yeah.
It's almost like more have come to help me with different phases.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
And that happens with all of us. I've seen that with other people as well.
Yeah, so maybe you'd seen them once and then you saw them later, and there's a new crew.
Sometimes there are.
Yeah.
And, and everybody has minimum 3 anyway. You have your main guardian angel that's been with you not just this lifetime, but all of your lifetimes in physical form, as well as others that are with you, maybe only this time, maybe multiple lifetimes to help you learn certain lessons and help you to accomplish different things.
Right. And then we have others that show up as needed.
Yes, those can show up as needed. But they're not personal.
Exactly.
Where a personal angel is very rarely going to ever leave your side.
Yeah.
If they do, it would be to say, go ahead of you to help kind of make way to make sure things either happen or don't happen as what's in your best and highest good.
Yeah.
Occasionally one might stay at home. We can ask our angels to check on people, friends, family. We can also ask them to deliver messages, have your angel talk to their angel to deliver messages that they might not be ready to hear at that moment.
Or ready to hear from you.
Yeah, because just like, kids, the last person they a lot of times want to hear things from is mom and dad. They'll hear it better from somebody else in the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so maybe it can, it can be delivered through the angels in that way.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. We can work with our angels in so many ways, but we do have to ask sometimes.
Yes. Yeah, ask on a daily basis. Ask for assistance, but also give gratitude.
Absolutely.
When you receive that gift that you ask for, whether it be something as simple as, on that rainy day finding a closed parking spot, give gratitude.
Mm-hmm. I always liken it to if somebody gives you a present and you don't say thank you, then
it's like, why do they want to give you another one?
Exactly. But gratitude just makes them so happy, and they realize, oh my gosh, you got my message.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just it furthers that channel of communication. And so when you see the angels of other people, I have so many questions. So when you see the angels for other people, do you see them just like when you're walking around?
No, I don't. And this has been a process, though. At first, I did.
Mm-hmm.
I have now learned to I think of it as turning the volume down, where I see it's like clouds or balls of color that is just constantly moving. Mm-hmm. And then when I sit down with someone and the intention is there to create an angel portrait, then just one will step forward and take shape and define color. Yes. But even they at that moment do not show me everything all at once. It's all, being a Photoshop geek, I think of it as in layers. Right. Where the first they just show me, like what color paper I'm supposed to use. Then usually what color the body is. And then the details continue to come after that.
I see. And are they talking to you during the process?
They're just like people. Some are more chatty than others. Some would prefer to not have the mediary, that they would rather talk straight to you. Mm-hmm. So they don't always, aren't very talkative a lot of times either. And that, that's their intention.
Right.
But, once the portrait has been drawn and you have that visualization, it's like that door can never be closed again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And they are beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. And so I see people at fairs carrying them around so proudly.
Yeah, which to me says more about the person and them than it does about me. I'm just the instrument pushing the pencil.
Right. You're the channel. And so when you do these angel portraits, do you do much consultation with the person?
Of course, there is some. And, some of it is just, common sense stuff, at least from my perspective, as being an intuitive for 20 plus years now.
Yeah.
And so I apply some of that as well.
Yeah.
A little bit of, life coaching can sometimes go along with that too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're getting the information, why not? Mm-hmm. And if the person is receptive.
Right.
Yeah, and in my opinion, if they sit down in front of you, they make an appointment, they're receptive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes instead of words, I get pictures.
Of course.
Like snapshots.
Yes.
And sometimes that can literally be the cover of a book. It can be a place. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'm having to interpret a situation. Mm-hmm. I never know what that might be.
Absolutely. And how long have you been doing these portraits for people?
I started probably very early 98 to late 97. I don't remember exactly, but somewhere in that time frame.
Right, because you could start seeing them in 97.
Mm-hmm. And then that was in January of 97. So.
And then you had to learn to draw.
Uh-huh, yeah. Yeah, which, to be honest, I pretty much dived into the deep end and started doing that pretty quickly at one of the local metaphysical shops here in Kansas City.
You started learning to draw there?
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I already knew the owner of the store quite well, because I'd already been going in for quite some time, and started talking to her about what I was experiencing. She goes, "Well, you need to come in here and do this." I'm like, okay.
No pressure.
Yeah, none at all.
Well, it's like they say, if you're training to be, professional intuitive, the best training is fairs.
Yeah.
because you've got to get there, connect, and deliver the messages as quickly as you can, disconnect, and then reconnect with the next client. So that's great.
It was a few years before I dove in and did fairs. I just did some occasional Saturdays, and originally for love offering, at this local shop, and then that's just continued to build.
You see, I've known you for many years, and I always just associate you as an artist. I always assumed that you've always been an artist. But you've been trained by angels.
Yes.
And came into it later.
I have never taken an art class.
That's hard to imagine, even from looking at your work. Hi, this is Christy. I just want to say that we here at Radiate Wellness hope you're enjoying this podcast. It's free to you, and we hope that you find it informative and inspirational. Heck, even fun. We have just 3 small asks of you to help us radiate growth. First, please hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening on. That way, you'll receive a notification every time that we have a new podcast episode out. Next, please give us a thumbs up, a like, or a 5-star review. If you're feeling inspired, a positive review wouldn't hurt. These 2 small things will help others find us when they're searching for great podcasts. Finally, please tell your friends about the Radiate Wellness podcast. Better yet, show them how to find us and how to subscribe. If everyone did that, we would double our audience. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate it. And so, when you do like a book cover or magazine cover, is that any particular angel, or who is that?
I have also done, I'll do Angels for the Year, I'll do Angels of the Month. The number of archangels have come. Some angels don't even give me a name, they give me more of a purpose.
Right.
So like for the magazines, if they have a theme for that month.
Okay.
Then that, one has stepped forward that works with that energy.
Wonderful. I was wondering about that. They don't seem like they're personal. They seem like they're for everyone.
Right.
When I pick
they
up the
are.
magazine.
Yeah, because the different archangels, like Archangel Michael. Yeah, a lot of us at different times work with Archangel Michael. Thousands and thousands of people on a daily basis work with Archangel Michael because he is not a personal angel and he works outside of time, so he is able to be where he is needed and where he is called, has been called to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And people often wonder if they're bothering their angels or their loved ones. I know. It's like, well, I don't want to keep taking up Archangel Michael's time. No.
Yeah, that is their whole purpose is to assist. They learn just as much from us as we learn from them.
We are not bothering them.
No. We are actually hindering their growth if we don't ask.
Absolutely. We're not giving them the chance to grow and learn and evolve.
Right.
Right. So I just love that not only are you able to see the individual angels around people, but, for the community, for all of us, for a greater good. And that's what I think is so special about seeing it on the cover of a book. Now, I know that you've won an award, maybe more, for cover art.
That was actually, the awards that I've won have been for the mandala work that I have done and some of the coloring books and meditation decks that have gone with that.
Yes, let's talk about your mandala work.
Okay.
Very different. When did you start that?
The project started in 2011. It started out because I was playing with an old antique toy called the Hootenanny.
What's that?
It's actually a grandfather to the Spirograph.
Oh, really?
Yes, an old metal version that is ideal for a beginner to create mandalas with. So that's what I started with, and another local intuitive here in Kansas City was actually doing online. It was phone class. It was through the phone system somehow. Back in the day when we did that, but and it was about 6 of the earthly Solfeggio frequencies.
Yes.
So very, very specific Hertz frequencies. And me just being me, I started researching and found out there aren't just 6 Solfeggio frequencies. There's actually 9 sets of 9 frequencies. So when I created those first 6, I had no idea what I was really getting myself into, that I was going to end up creating a total of 81 mandalas, and it was going to take me 7 years to complete the project.
Oh my gosh. Well, you've put some in coloring books.
Yeah, so they're all 9 sets are in coloring books. So there's 9 separate coloring books, as well as 9 separate packets of the decks to work with.
So talk about the decks. How many cards are in the deck, and what's their purpose?
So the same number. There's 81. 9 sets in each of the 9. 9 mandalas in each of the 9 sets. There can be a number of purposes for it. First, to be honest, I personally, the biggest thing I used them for was I'd set them on a table, put them in a little Ziploc bag, and set a glass of water on top of them. So charging the water with the energy of that particular frequency. I then started playing with, doing that with herbs and essential oils and using it to clear and energize crystals.
Oh,
A few other people gave me the idea of them putting them under the massage tables. People do different types of energy work. Yeah. We have found that most people, it was too much to do more than about 3. Mm-hmm. Some people started putting them in their pillow when they sleep at night. Mm-hmm. Typically, they've found, though, that really doing more than 1, 2 at the most, and then you might have some difficulty sleeping, is just a little overwhelming to have it right there in the pillow.
Right. So talk a bit about these frequencies. What are they, and what do they help with?
The Solfeggio frequencies are actually, it's all based on sacred geometry and Pythagorean math. Mm-hmm. Each one of the frequencies is 3 digits long, and when you add those 3 numbers up, they always add up to 3, 6, and 9. It was Nikola Tesla who said that if we understood 3, 6, and 9, we would understand the universe.
Wow. I'm a huge Tesla fan. Wow.
And even when NASA is taking recording equipment out into and recording the spheres, our own Sun and Saturn put off frequency 528 from the earthly Solfeggio frequencies, which is one for healing DNA, which is a great one for reactivating our dormant or DNA strands. What's a lot of people refer to as junk, but it's really just been turned off.
Yeah,
and we're learning. And this is processes that we're going through, is learning how to turn those strands back on. So the whole purpose of the Solfeggios is to help us realign with our original blueprint.
That is wonderful. I mean, in the mandalas that you do, at least for the coloring books, they look very much like a blueprint. Mm-hmm. And it's just interesting, the process, how you take a tone, which is, that's what this is, it's a frequency, and take a tone and turn that into a mandala. How do you get your inspiration for that?
Yeah, one of the things that has inspired me is Cymatics, which is the people that have taken like salt or white sand, dumped it on like a black sheet of metal, and then put the speaker underneath, and have discovered the patterns that those different tones create in the sand then. Right. So when I'm actually created the mandalas, I sat down on the computer, because the computer is a tool I've used for a long time, in my previous incarnation in the corporate world. So that was someplace I was comfortable, but it also helped me, kind of keep some of the symmetry of just a little bit.
Yeah.
But I listen to that tone the entire time I'm creating that. So I do kind of the template on the computer. I'm printing that off, and then coloring it in. And 9 times out of 10, it did change just a little bit as I worked with the energy and continued to listen to that frequency. Yes. And just kind of get more in touch with the purpose. And pretty much the earthly Solfeggio frequencies are the ones that have been written about the most in the past. So there was a basic understanding what those frequencies can help us with. To be honest, the rest of it's just like the mandalas themselves, essentially been channeled.
Exactly. So we've got the earthly frequencies, and what other types of frequencies are there?
Earthly, angelic, universal, natural, divine, and then the last 4 sets are associated with the star seeds and different constellations. So Cygnus, Orion, Sirius, and what is the other one? At the moment, I'm going to be honest.
Pleiadian?
Yes, Pleiadian, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when you're working on those frequencies, the starseed frequencies, do you see those beings associated with those places, or does it come through with angels?
I feel like they have been in the background being supportive, but to be honest, there's a particular group of beings known as the guardians of the Solfeggio.
Yes.
That have helped me a great deal. I couldn't have done this project without them. I just couldn't have.
I remember they came up for you in a reading that I did with you.
Yes.
Yes.
And that was when I was already at least halfway through this project.
Right. Right. And they were talking about, I believe, unlocking certain things that had been hidden. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because these frequencies, they were used in the past. Up possibly as most recent as the 1600s. I'm working with, and spoken with some different people who have played some of the Stradivarius instruments. And the theory is that we believe that those instruments were actually built to play the Solfeggio frequencies. They were used in the Gregorian chants within the Catholic Church up through the early 1600s, where people were having experiences that the church was unable to control.
Oh my goodness. We hear about the mystic side of the church, and sounds like they were tapping into that mystic side.
And at some point, the church says they say they've lost the frequencies. They were just hidden away.
Wow. Because they, of course, if people were having mystical experiences because of certain tones, then that took some of the power away. Right, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, then people didn't need to go to their father, their priest.
Right. The church.
They were able to communicate with angels, God, Creator, the divine, directly.
And so we don't necessarily need to hear the tones. We can look at the representation of the mandala.
Right. You can, use the meditation decks. You can color them, and color them how it feels right to you. You don't need to color them exactly how I did.
Yeah, I've filled 2 coloring books already. I need to get more. I enjoy them.
They are a type of meditation. They really are.
And I enjoy reading about, because you've got the mandala on the recto, and then on the verso you've got the text and the explanation of the frequencies. And I read that as I'm coloring. And it's just, it just heightens the experience. And, we all love grown-up coloring books anyway.
Yes, we do.
We do. And so...
that was, when I was ill and unable to be outside as a kid, I was coloring. But I was, I really don't remember ever having anything other than children's crayons.
Exactly. And those wax crayons are...
Yeah, they don't blend colors very well.
They don't, no. And so do you hear from people who use your coloring books and use your decks?
Occasionally I do.
Yeah,
I'd like to more often, but, I've heard a number of different things, particularly people that, about how their intuition is continuing to evolve and wake up.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, that's a fantastic thing because, when you're in that meditative state, we're a lot more receptive.
Yes.
Right. So you've got the coloring books, you've got the decks. You do the angel portraits. Do you have anything else that you're working on?
I'm doing a number of, different, I've gotten into acrylics quite a bit lately.
Nice.
So I'm doing some different series of paintings, all incorporating different spiritual symbols, and as well some including a lot of stones.
So you're including stones in the artwork?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Just using some different mediums, like molding paste, and different, gels, different
Right.
clear gels that will actually, glue them to the canvas in a way.
Right.
I don't use actual glue, but different acrylic mediums have
So
worked quite well.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so you're building more texturized
Yes.
images.
Yeah, a lot of texture.
Right.
And continuing the theme of the sacred geometry. Quite
Love
a bit
it.
as well.
Do you have guardians or angels who work with you with the sacred geometry? Any specific ones that you use for that?
I think, the guardians of this aphasia have
Yes.
continued to be very helpful with that. Because
Yeah.
that's a big part of what, the frequencies are. The mandalas are like a 2D version, of the frequency.
Right. Do you ever see them in 3D?
Yes, I do.
I was wondering about that.
It is easiest for me to see that actually when I'm out in direct sunlight and I close my eyes, and then I see all this sacred geometry just constantly moving.
How
So a lot of the paintings, I'm trying in some way to put down on canvas what I'm seeing, and that's what I see in meditation a great deal.
Yeah, that's got to be difficult to put that into, to translate that into a medium.
Something that's constantly moving into something that's somewhat flat and stationary.
Right.
Yeah, so they're little snapshots.
And you have crystal bowls as well.
Yes, I do. And they are Solfeggio singing crystal bowls.
Of course they are.
I have 8 presently, and I do at least 2 public crystal singing bowl meditations every month.
Wonderful.
Typically at yoga studios where so people are able to sit down, lay down, whatever is most comfortable for them during the experience.
Right. I think there's a lot of interplay between tones and art anyway, and between music and art.
And actually it connects with the angels as well, because it is my understanding that is tones is how they communicate with each other.
Of course.
So, my theory, of course, that they are actually the tones they use are the Solfeggio frequencies.
Of course. Of course, it makes perfect sense. And there's tons of music out there on YouTube that uses these frequencies as well.
More and more all the time.
I use them in my healing practice. And then your bowls, they're tuned to those frequencies.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, those bowls are a little bit harder to find, but they are out there.
Yeah. How do you even search them out? You kind of have to know what you're looking for.
And know where who the importers are for bringing the bowls into the States, and weeding through their bowls and what they are.
Right. Yeah. How long have you been doing the bowls?
Almost 4 years publicly.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah, and my very first bowls were not Solfeggio, but I did upgrade about 2.5 years ago to all 8 of them are Solfeggio frequencies, and I'm hoping to add 1 more bowl this year. Because I'd like to have 9.
Yes,
of course. Got to have that number divisible by 3 again.
Exactly. I almost said even number. That's not right, but the divisible by 3, of course. Do you bring art into that at all, or what do you do with that?
I've started doing some different things here, particularly recently. Where I'm putting one of the meditation decks in one deck card in each bowl.
Oh, wow.
Or right next to the bowl, one or the other. I am also sometimes, putting the platonic solids inside the bowls.
Oh, wait, what? What?
So they're more of a 3D. So they're quartz crystals that have been cut into the
sacred geometry.
The sacred geometry shapes of.
Oh, yes. Okay, right. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, we've seen those sets of 5 and 7 out there.
Yeah. Oh, that is so exciting.
And so it's definitely amped up the energy that the bowls put off
I can imagine.
by including those.
What do people experience in a singing bowl meditation like that?
Most of them is just, the biggest feedback is, relaxing and comforting.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people see colors, which, color is just obviously another way to express a frequency.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Right. Just, do you find that there are certain colors that match some of the tones?
Yeah, it's usually associated also with the chakras, but not always. Not
Right.
always.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes, your root chakra may be off balance, so it's, radiating, a color other than red, which we typically associate with the root chakra, for example.
Right.
So you may need the opposite of what your color is what that chakra is
Exactly.
radiating to help bring it to balance.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. Sounds like a wonderful evening to just enjoy the tones and sit back and meditate and see what happens.
Yes.
Now, we've got just a couple more minutes. Is there anything that we've not talked about that you think you'd like to mention?
That's a good question. Because we've talked about an awful lot in this 1 hour.
I know.
And it's gone very quickly here.
It has. And I just find your work is so fascinating, so interesting, because you blend two of my favorite things, angelics and art, spirituality and, the artistic medium.
I think the biggest thing is, about the Solfeggio frequencies, that moment of creation where we all associate with the word.
Yeah.
I actually believe it was a tone.
Mm-hmm.
What that word was, a lot of theories in different cultures believe it was Om. I personally don't believe it really matters so much of what frequency was used.
Yes.
Is the much more important.
Absolutely.
And I do believe it is, somewhere within this range of the Solfeggio frequencies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds very powerful. Very, very powerful. Wonderful. And so where can we find you online, find your art online?
Yes, I have a website. I try to make it easy, SusanWalterArt.com. And that is also where you can find me both on Facebook and Instagram as well. It's just searching Susan Walter Art.
Wonderful. I would love it if people would color your mandalas and then tag you on Instagram.
Oh, that would be fabulous.
That would be fun.
Tag me on Instagram or on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or take pictures of their portraits that you've done and tag you on Facebook or Instagram. What's your handle on Instagram?
It is also Susan Walter Art.
Oh, that's easy.
Yes, I'm into making things as simple as possible.
Okay, so tag Susan at Susan Walter Art on Instagram. And then could we find your stuff on Amazon, like if we wanted to get coloring books?
Actually, at this time, no.
Okay.
That may change at some point in the future, but right now, there are a few local shops here in Kansas City that do carry them, but or you can always, find me at the fairs.
Oh, fantastic. Good, good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Susan. It's been so much fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you bet.
Radiate Wellness is a community of holistic and alternative healers and consultants based in the Kansas City area, dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.